14 years. His multidisciplinary career has allowed him to work in diverse fields, such as law, fashion, and research. His areas of expertise include state-of-the-art techniques in machine learning, NLP, connectionist models, text mining, and exploring visualizing massive data sets. He also holds a PhD in Management and Decision Sciences from FGV and a computer engineering degree from Pontifical Catholic University of Rio de Janeiro. Please think of questions you would like to ask him, as there will be a Q&A session at the end of his talk. Ask your questions on our Slack live chat channel during the talk and vote for your favorites. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Daniel Chada.
Hi. Hi, guys. Very nice to be here. Thank you, John, for the renewed invitation. Thank you, Monica, for that wonderful introduction. Here to talk a little bit about the gaming industry and how data science fits into it. Sometimes in not so obvious ways, but always fun ways. Let's get started. A little bit of an agenda. I always have to remember to introduce myself because I usually just start talking, but Monica did such a great job. I have to try to remember to introduce Gazeus and what we do and our history. So I always put in a couple of slides on there about that. And then we get to talk a little bit about the gaming industry and its peculiarities and its dynamic nature. And then we get to the meat of what's going to be important for you guys, which is data science and how it's done there, and the opportunities and the lessons and the challenges that we can grapple with on our day-to-day. Like I said, like Monica said, I'm Daniel. I started my career as a software engineer and a researcher, and I kind of started heading up. Now I am the CIO of Gazeus. Throughout my entire career, I studied machine learning and cognitive modeling and a lot of NLP and text processing. So it's been an evolution. Now I worry about motivating my team and beating them upside the head when they don't document their code. A little bit about Gazeus Games. It wouldn't be considered a startup anymore. It's got more than 10 years in the market, but it's a very dynamic, very young company. So we kind of have that startup culture. Gazeus began its life in the web as a portal called Jogatina, and now the brand Gazeus is the owner of the brand Jogatina, but it's still basically the same company. And the way that the company started was with regular card and board games, traditional games, being moved into the digital medium, and that's still something that we do today. And now we're starting to diversify a bit more. We have a worldwide presence. We have a lot of players in Europe. We have players in Asia. We have a lot of players in the US, and obviously Brazil. And we have aside from unlike a lot of large gaming companies, we have a large and diversified portfolio of mobile games. And that comes into play in terms of the complexity of the data that we process, as we'll see a little bit later. We're amongst last time I checked, we were among the top 5 gaming companies in Latin America. We have over 1 million daily active users. Over 1 million people play our games every day. Over 7 million people play our games every month. And this is an evolution from last time I presented this here at Data Science for All. Last time I presented, we were this third bullet point here said we processed about 6 billion, almost 6 billion data points every month. Since then, we decided to kick things up a notch, and we started with some new measurements in-game measurements, and now we're measuring over 450 million in-game events per day. So that kicked us up to over 13 billion data points per month. So that's a little bit more than doubled our intake of data. And the fun part is nothing broke. Yay! Like I say, the brand used to be called Jogatina. Some people in Latin America, there are a number of games that are very popular also in the rest of Latin America, like dominoes, like tranca, like spades. So if you see the little crown on the top left, it's probably one of our games. We've been diversifying lately, and we have some upcoming launches that are very exciting. We're launching a Yahtzee game, which is the dice game, and we're launching our very own intellectual property game, one of our very first launches that is our own intellectual property called Let's Zeppelin. That's in not yet worldwide launch, but it has premiered in some countries already. It's super exciting. I love this particular game. Go through a little bit of the mobile gaming industry, and if I go too fast, usually this is I like to have very interactive talks. I encourage people to interrupt me, to ask questions, and so on and so forth. This isn't quite possible here, but I promise I'll try to get to as many of your Slack questions as soon as we're done. If it feels like I'm rushing a little, it's that so that we can get to the questions, so you guys get to participate. But I promise I won't skip any slides, unless John tells me to. This slide is obviously clearly stolen from somewhere, but as a good researcher, I cite my sources. And this is to show that the source is right down on the bottom of the slide. It's already a little bit outdated, but still a fun slide to show, because it shows a 65% increase in an industry from just a little over 20 billion to a predicted $72 billion in revenue for mobile gaming worldwide. So if it's not the fastest growing industry in current times, it's sure to be quite high up there on the list. I certainly don't know of any other that's growing this much, especially in current times. Compared to other, to put things in a little bit of perspective, also completely stolen slide. Compared to other benchmarks, you can, I don't know how legible that is on the bottom, but you can see that the first blue bar is the GDP of Costa Rica. Then coming in second in red is worldwide gaming revenue in 2018. Box office revenue for all of Hollywood in third in purple. In green, all the tea sales in China, you know, the saying for all the tea in China, we've passed that. For McDonald's, that's all of McDonald's revenue. That's all of US Valentine's Day spending coming in pink, and all of music sales worldwide, the entire music industry coming in there at dead last on this graph. This is the part where I usually ask people to raise their hands, but I'll just let your conscience guide you. This slide shows that from research that people usually spend 23 minutes a day in the US, 23 minutes a day playing mobile games. That adds up to 2.7 hours a week, 5.8 days out of your life per year. And in your lifetime, you will play 1.3 years of mobile gaming on this little thing right here. Now, let your conscience be your guide and let me know if this feels real to you. Some people just go, nah, of course not. Nah, that's not real. And some people just go, oh my God, yes, I do. So usually this part is the part where I like to look out into the crowd and see the different reactions and see if people are being honest. So let me know if you were going to raise your hand later. A little bit about the industry itself. Like I said, it's a high growth industry. In 2019, that's last year, it was already a $68.5 billion industry, according to TechCrunch. And it's a worldwide market. This is an important point. Every game that you put on the Android store or in the App Store literally competes with every single other game. So you're competing with everyone. We compete with Candy Crush. We compete with Angry Birds. We compete with Lords of War, Star Trek, all of those. And every user obviously has a humongous set of options on where they're going to dedicate their attention, where they're going to dedicate that time of their entertainment and of their leisure. It's also very dynamic. We're going to see a little bit later that obviously new games are launched every single day. So competitors come in every single day. And as we're going to see later, because of other features of the market, because of other characteristics of the market, the strategies have to change every single day. Sometime from hour to hour, something that you were going to do in the morning, you're no longer going to do in the afternoon. So all of this, our decision makers, be they marketing, be they monetization, be they product, be they our finance department, all of this requires strong knowledge of the market and a strong view towards tendencies. A while back in 2018, there was a huge tendency that hyper casual games, those games that you play that are very simple and that you don't have to really understand any rules, you just log in and play, things like Helix Jump, were going to storm the market. And it turned out that it was kind of a fad. Hyper casual games didn't quite storm the market. Well, they did for a little while, and then things changed. Sources of the different possible business models, the sources of money that we can have are the big three are advertising, which is just like TV. You're playing your game. Throughout your experience, ads are going to be shown to you. Either partial at the bottom or at the top of the screen, that little banner that comes in, telling you again that you should buy more iFood, or a full screen in between games. You see a full screen ad for anything. I personally cannot possibly buy any more iFood, otherwise I'll burst. Rewarded videos, which is sometime throughout your game. It's still advertising, but it's qualified as a different mode of advertising, which is you're playing your little game and you die, you're done. But then a little pop-up comes in and say you can watch this ad and you gain an extra life and you keep playing. You don't have to start over. That's very, very different because psychologically it's the user's choice to view that ad. It's not something that was brought to you without you requesting it. You choose to view that ad. So it's considered semantically different, and it's also psychologically different, and it proves to be more effective since you chose to view that. And then there are in-app purchases. Almost any game nowadays has the store or the hangar or the body shop, if it's a car game, something where you can click and you're going to buy the mega treasure chest or improve your sniper rifle scope, and all of that is something that goes to the Play Store and to the App Store. It becomes a purchase since your credit card is registered there. These tend to be a lot more effective and a lot more reliable business model. So we're seeing a lot of games shift to that, but it's also very much harder in the sense that usually on a regular game, about 5% of players actually become spenders in the game. So of all the people that are playing your game, only on a good game, about 5% of those people are actually going to give you money somehow. And the old model, which would be buying the game before you even play it, like a video game. But that just doesn't work online. However, and as we will see in one of our examples, subscriptions do work. Instead of viewing ads, you become a subscriber and you don't view ads anymore at all, and you get some kind of bonus, like you can customize your avatar, you get extra skins, so on and so forth. Advertising and monetization, how does that work? Like anyone, with any mobile app, we acquire our users through marketing. We make digital campaigns and run them through advertising networks like Google, Facebook, Twitter, so on. This way we acquire users, which is shortened by the acronym UA, and exposition. The user, you're on your Instagram, you're on your Facebook, on your cell phone, and that ad comes up to install Domino's. You say, I haven't played Domino's in a while. You click Domino's, and that takes you to the store, to the Play Store. And as we'll see, this is an important part of the process. And you install your game. Once you've installed your game and you first open the game to start playing, that's when we find out about you. This is not, let me not get ahead of myself. That's when we find out about you, and that's when we begin measuring the things that you do in game. And there's ad monetization. As the game progresses, as you've played a few games of Domino's, as you've played a few rounds of Led Zeppelin, we have opportunities to show you ads. We auction that ad space, that opportunity, via monetization networks like Google, Facebook, and Twitter. So they kind of make money on both ends there. So that was quick enough, I guess. That was painless enough, I guess. Let's go to the fun part. In marketing, how does marketing work? Gazeus works with ad networks, like almost any marketing mobile company. What happens is we don't knock on iFood's door and say, hi, do you want to buy ads in our game? iFood says to a place like Google or Facebook, listen, I want to spend $1 million on targeted ads in Brazil. And then Facebook does a match to us. So what we do is exactly the same thing. We go to Facebook and we say, we have this budget of users that we want to acquire. And Facebook provides the ads to people who are most likely to click and even to enjoy our games. So those ads reach your phone as you're browsing iFood. I guess that's my example of the day. As you're browsing iFood, you're going to get an ad for Domino's. And then you're going to click. And then you go to the store. And that part is important because this isn't like a regular internet ad, in the sense that we don't track you through the entire process. We have no way, once you install our game, we have no way of knowing from which campaign, from which of our ad campaigns this user came. So we have to use partners called attribution networks. There are a number of them, like Adjust or AppsFlyer, who help us with heuristics, and they have data sharing partnerships with places like Google and Facebook to help us attribute a user to a certain ad campaign. So we send in our user data to these ad networks. That's why that's in a large part, that's why we collect in-game data to understand what are the indicators that differ a player who's going to stick around and really enjoy our game and watch a lot of ads and click on a lot of ads from a player who's going to stick around for 48 hours and leave. We use that to feed that information into the ad networks, saying, listen, guys, we want more users like this one. We don't collect any kind of personal information. All we collect is in-game data and the way that you're playing the game and the things that you're doing and how many ads you're watching and how much you're enjoying the game. But Facebook has personal information about you, and Google has personal information about you. So what we do is we send the data, we send the indicators that we have, and we say, these are the good guys. These are the guys that we want. And then Google or Facebook grab that information and target our ads towards people who are like the people that are enjoying our games. Did that make sense? I guess if it didn't, you'll ask during Slack. Some of the things that we do, some of the indicators that we do are things like ad LTV, which is a huge challenge for the entire. LTV is lifetime value, is understanding how much a customer is going to be worth throughout their lifetime. Our games in particular are very long-lived games. We have very faithful user bases. There are people who have played our Buraco game and our Dominoes game for like 5 years. That's unprecedented in the industry. People sticking with a game for 5 years in a row. So we have an important job of understanding what's the lifetime values of the users that are being brought by this ad campaign. And we calculate the realized lifetime value in order to know if a campaign is good or not. Should we shut this campaign off? Should we put more money in it so it'll bring more users? And we have to try to predict the lifetime value of the users. We do IAP, that's in-app purchase that I mentioned before, LTV as well. We do churn, and we are trying to do predictive churn in the sense that if we can understand when a user leaves or when a user is likely to leave, we can reactivate that user in a sense. We can send them push notifications saying, "Hi, your friends are all playing dominoes. Why don't you come back?" That sort of thing. And believe it or not, that sort of thing works. And lookalikes, which is exactly what I just mentioned. We send the players that we want, the players that enjoy our game, the players that are not averse to making purchases in our game, to watching ads, and so on and so forth. We gather the player data of the play data of these people, and we say, listen, we don't know who these people are, but we have these device IDs. These device IDs are the device IDs that rock because they really enjoyed our game. Those are called lookalike campaigns. And we do segmentation for different marketing purposes, customer-based segmentation. So these are all signals that we use. Why do we use these signals? Because we need to know very well whom to show our ads. As we run a campaign, we can't just show randomly to any user in the world. If we do that, we're going to waste a lot of our ad money, and we're going to bring in a lot of people who just aren't going to enjoy the game and not have a good experience with Gazeos. So a bad campaign will bring users that won't enjoy the game and they won't play. So it's wasted time for the user and it's wasted money for us. Where to show? We can run campaigns via a number of networks, not just Google, Facebook, and Twitter, though those are the main ones. There's a host of ad networks available. And the prices and the conditions of running campaigns through these ad networks vary greatly. Greatly, I mean by 1,000% from one week to the other. And there's also different types of campaigns. There's the campaign where it's if you show the ad and we pay by the amount of ads that get shown. Doesn't matter if the person clicks, doesn't matter if the person cancels, doesn't matter if the person switches off their phone right after. If they saw the ad, we're paying. There are install campaigns, which means doesn't matter how many ads get shown, we pay by the install that we receive. So we can say, listen, we want an install campaign to acquire 5,000 users for this game, and we only pay when we get to 5,000 users. Doesn't matter how many ads they have to show to get to that number. Obviously, these are more expensive. And there are action campaigns, which are obviously even more expensive, in the sense that we say, listen, we want to acquire a number X of users who will play at least 5 matches of dominoes. So we only pay for the amount of users that actually reach 5 matches of dominoes. Those are obviously the most expensive campaigns, but also very effective. So there's a whole host of variables there that can be optimized for our campaigns. And part of what we do is we work this data to try to feed the data into and help the marketing team to make better decisions. And what to show? We have constant testing of creatives. Creatives are, the actual ad. What works best? Is it a video? Is it a playable where a playable is one of those where you can actually interact. There's a little hand. It's like, oh, drag the brick to whatnot, and you drag and mash the brick, and it goes, yay! Now install to keep playing. That sort of thing. And content ads, which are the regular advertising. Monetization, that's the other side of the coin. Once the user is playing and enjoying our game, we collect data. We collect a lot of data nowadays, as I mentioned. Anything you do in game, we try to use that as some kind of signal as to whether you're enjoying the game or not, and how we can do that. For monetization, we use that to feed into monetization networks like Google, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. There are others: Unity Ads, Iron Source, Vungle, etc. We use that data in the sense that we want to show better ads. We don't want to show you ads that aren't going to interest you. We don't want to show you ads that are inappropriate. We want to show you ads that bring value. Those monetization networks, like I said, iFood doesn't come knocking on our door, and we don't go knocking on iFood and Uber's and Coca-Cola's door. Uber calls up Google and says, listen, I have $10 million that I want to spend in Brazil. We say to Google, listen, I have this ad space that I want to sell. And the monetization networks do what's called an auction. This happens in milliseconds, okay? But they do an auction, and they match our ad space to the best price, to the best payer to show that ad space. So we gather the user data, and we feed into the monetization networks what's called floor data. Since this is an auction, what we can say to the monetization networks is, I don't know who's going to show on this advertising space and how much they're going to pay for it. But I can tell you that I won't take anything for under X amount of dollars and cents. So the auction starts at the floor that we say is good for us. And what we do on our side is we implement what's called a waterfall model. Again, this all happens in milliseconds while you're playing the game. We go to Google and we say, listen, Google, well, I have this ad space for all these players here, and I want X amount of dollars for it. Google says, if Google doesn't answer, or Google says, listen, I can't pay you that much, Facebook, we immediately go to Facebook and say, listen, Facebook, we want Y amount of dollars, just a little bit less, and see if that works with Facebook. If Facebook says, no, I can't, don't want to pay you that much, we say, hi, Twitter, hi, Mopub, we want Z amount of dollars for this ad space, and so on and so forth, until eventually, if we ever reach the bottom of our waterfall, we'll just say, hi, Lash Network, we'll take whatever you got, just to fill that ad space, because we don't want to, it's worse that we don't show an ad it's better that we show an ad that was cheaply sold than not showing it at all. And this particular part is highly complex and highly programmatically optimizable, in the sense that the different networks are willing to pay for an ad space literally changes from 1 hour to the next. The guy over at Vungle can press a button and and a whole host of inventory of advertising that Uber and Coca-Cola and so on wanted to buy becomes available. So suddenly, ironSource is willing to pay a lot more for the same ad space, even more than Google for that particular moment in the day. So if we're not looking at it, if we're not optimizing for it, we may have ironSource at the bottom of our waterfall, and we may never reach ironSource, even though they would be willing to pay a lot more. Or we may be asking too little money from Vungle, even though they're willing to pay a lot more, because Vungle is way down there. So all of these things change throughout the course of a single day. And we got to say, all right, so let's move Vungle up 2 places in our waterfall and put a floor of 50 cents more for 1,000 ad spaces. Let's move Google down because it's the weekend and Google's inventory isn't very good for the weekend in Europe, and so on and so forth. All of these variables come into play and interact dynamically. One of the things that happened throughout this unfortunate circumstance that we've had is we've had a huge spike in users, as almost any mobile app has had. But at the same time, we've had a drop in advertising, because entire verticals of advertisement, like travel and tourism, have simply stopped advertising at all. So we had to quickly adapt in our monetization, in the sense that where are we going to advertise? How much are we going to ask for it? Even though our user base is going up, we still had to move things around and dynamically adjust. And that's part of the fun, part of the challenge of helping make these kinds of decisions. And finally, product. In Gazeus, my department has 5 main clients: marketing, which we mentioned; monetization, which we mentioned; product, which is right here, and we'll talk about; the executive, the board, and so on, who need to make decisions about the future of the company; and the financial department, for obvious reasons. So product is one of the things that one of the areas where one of the internal clients where we're very much strengthening our product base for them, our insight team for them. So what can we do? What does the data team do for the product team? When we collect the game data, we can help them see and understand what's going on inside the game. What is the impact of this new release with the Play with Friends invite feature at the forefront? How does that affect my retention? How did that affect my DAU, daily active users? How did that affect how many people went into the tutorial, and so on? And things like, why are my players leaving? Why has putting my subscription banner towards the bottom of the screen affected how often people play? All these sorts of things, and these things do happen. And the impact: did my subscription event convert players? If it did, are these players staying or are these players going away? Is my tutorial too long or too short? Are people getting bored with it and leaving and not actually playing the game? All these sorts of questions we can help give insight and vision by our product managers, to our product managers. So a clear example of this is something like from level 1 to level 2, 90% of the players pass. From level 2 to level 3, 90% of those players pass. From level 3 to level 4, only 30% of the players are passing. We can give this sort of insights to the product owner, and he'll say, well, level 3 is either bugged or too hard. We have to rethink it. That's the sort of thing that we don't make the decisions, but we can help with the insights for the product team to make better decisions and ultimately make a better and more fun game for all of you. So a dynamic industry like gaming requires vision. Early signals of a user's quality, of a user's enjoyment are very essential. Being able to make a decision earlier and faster can make the difference between success and failure. There was a company who has had a huge loss in 2019 because they modeled the lifetime value of their players wrong. So they were investing, saying this is going to pay out, this is going to pay out, these guys are going to stick around, and they just didn't. Agility, the performance can literally change within the hour. One network closes the tap, and another network floods it with an inventory of advertising, and we got to switch over and say, all right, we can charge these guys twice as much. And reliability, the fact that these decision makers have to make these decisions dynamically, even throughout the course of a single day. They have to trust the data that you're providing them, that we're providing them. So it's essential that they make decisions and that they're able to trust their decisions under pressure every single time. This is a good example. This is a new example. First time that you're seeing that this is ever being shown right here exclusively on Data Science for All. This is an example of an insight that we've just given our POs and our CEO. This is one of our games. I actually inverted the slides. I should be showing this slide first, which is we did subscription campaigns. We did subscription pushes to make to encourage our active players to becoming subscribers and stop seeing ads. One campaign, the yellow is the new subscriptions. You can see there was a big spike there, and what these guys did in this game was they dropped the price. They significantly dropped the price, temporarily dropped the price on subscriptions, and did a huge sale promotion. Subscribe now, and it did work. As you can see, the active subscriptions in dark blue spiked up just as the promotion went online. And our projections while the promotion was happening was, wow, we're going to get a purple line eventually, where our asymptote is going to reach purple line. And originally it was, our projections were orange line. But as you can see, as these users became tired of the game, they started canceling their subscriptions back again. So we went to a place where it was worse off than our original projection. And this is a very very simple model. Okay, this is kind of a point that I like to make on these talks. Sometimes simple models are important and they work. This is a very simple model. What is this? We're considering our pool of subscribers as kind of like a bathtub, in the sense that there's a tap with bringing users in, and there's a sink where users are leaving and churning. The size of the sink is proportional to the size of the tap. The more users we bring, the bigger the percentage of the pool leaves eventually. So we reach an asymptote. But this other game of ours, not only did the same sale, but they also worked on their churn. They figured out the things that were making the players frustrated and the things that were making the players leave. So the original asymptote from the sale, which is pink line, became the asymptote from the orange line, which is hugely more than the these aren't exactly to scale, but you can see that the tendency is a lot more. And these are the kinds of insights that we can provide to our users. We can say, listen, what this guy did on this game you should do on this game. Another example of the things that we do is we talk about and we worry about and we think about the ways that we store and organize data. In the sense that when I came in about 2 years ago, we stored all our data in JSON format. JSON became a costly way of reading the raw user level data, and queries at that point were becoming inoperable and expensive. So what we did, we put up a nice big Spark cluster after a lot of design, and we were able to convert some hundreds of billions of lines into Parquet. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Parquet, but it's a different way of storing data. Instead of storing your data in a matrix like this, you store your data in a matrix like this in columnar fashion. And that alone, that particular change in the way we organize the data, re-enabled investigations that had previously become impossible because you press enter and you go to lunch because it's going to take an hour for your query to finish. Also, we started saving on space because the data was more well organized, and our queries became cheaper and fast. I mean, blazingly faster. So here's a little bit of the beginning of the closing section is you guys are future or current data scientists, improving yourselves deeply here in data science for all. You've had a number of, as I understand, you've probably had a number of other, or you will have a number of other speakers talking here. One of the things that I do are usually not very popular. Luckily, John liked it, but is to say that the sexy part of data science, the deep reinforcement, hyperparameter learning isn't necessarily the meat and bones of what you need, of what you will be doing, or what you will need to be doing. So that's not data science. Neither is this, as much as I'd like it to be. It's not. I particularly have 3 monitors. I think that the more monitors you have, the better of a programmer you are, but that's just me. This is data science. Acquisition, cleaning, organization, storage. That's 90%, 95% of the job of a data scientist nowadays. Obviously, there are different paths to a career. There's the data engineering part, which tends to look over this a lot. But I still think it's essential that all data scientists at least think and have notions about acquisition, cleaning, organization, and storage. Not only the analysis and the visualization. And I'll put up my argument for why in a minute. How am I doing for time? Am I bad? Oh, I'm very bad. Am I okay? Oh, okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, okay. And then you turn to me and say, but Daniel, I just learned all this super sexy stuff, all the AI stuff, like the reinforcement learning stuff that you said that you were doing to optimize your monetization. Yeah, but first, you need to know your data. And then again, this is just one guy's opinion. But my experience of all these, oh my God, I couldn't believe that she said I have 14 years experience as a data scientist, but it turns out I do. I did a little math while she was talking. It's important to know your data. You should know as a data scientist, you shouldn't be a person who just receives a data set, number, crunch, and provide a result to someone. You become, in my opinion, you become more robust of a data analyzer, of a data scientist, if you know things like the provenance of your data. Why? Because if aggregate data is redistributed, its precision is very, very likely to be affected, because the distribution of your data matters. And if you're not looking at that, you may not know the distribution, the original distribution of your data. Not everything can be considered Gaussians, and means can be dangerous. One of the things that I'm starting to do at Gazeus is we're looking at the original distribution of our data. Our player networks are obviously not Gaussians. They're power law distributions, and we have to analyze them as power law distributions. Granularity, the frequency of collection can and will affect your data. If you collect every hour versus every day, that's different. And you can't show a data that's collected once a day right next on a column with the data that's collected once an hour. You can't analyze it that way. You shouldn't analyze it that way. And the same, one of my favorite examples for this is, if you weigh yourself every 10 minutes, you're going to go nuts. That's what I've been doing during this quarantine. Cleaning. If stop words were removed, that's talking a little bit about NLP here. If stop words were removed, your trigram model may and likely will be useless. If null values are filled in with 0 and you don't know, your average may be useless. And if you don't look at the data, if you don't know your data beforehand, these things might go by you, and it'll be garbage in, garbage out. The way your data is stored and organized will affect how it can be analyzed. My example, my JSON to Parquet example, there were certain things that we just couldn't do anymore because it was taking too long. A graph database will allow certain analyses. A document database will allow certain other analyses. A relational database will allow other analyses, and so on, and so on, and so on. The organization of your data. What's your unit of measurement? Is it a player session? Is it a user? Is it an app? Is it a country? All these things matter when you're going to do it, when you're going to do your analysis. And the choice of your unit or measurement can furnish or hinder your insights. And obviously your features. Histograms are and will always be your friend. Correlation can be your friend. There's that huge maxim that correlation does not imply causation, but a lot of times correlation is good enough for you to extract some insight from what you need. So all of these things, if you do your homework, the other part, the analysis, the visualization, will likely be easier. So be careful not to go into this particular cartoon, which is one of my favorites, XKCD for the win. So basically the guy is just saying, is this a machine learning? Yeah, you just pour data in, mix, and the answers come out on the other side. But what if the answers are wrong? Just keep stirring until everything looks right. And you'd be surprised how often this is done in the industry. It's worrisome, actually. Luckily, you guys landed in data science for all, and you'll learn otherwise. You have learned otherwise, probably. And this is a little bit just to give you a taste of our architecture nowadays. We sell ad spaces via standard interstitial rewarded video native ads through the monetization networks. The monetization networks provide us reports via APIs. We also do marketing campaigns, and we get the UA data, the data from the performance of our marketing campaigns, from the advertising networks via report APIs. And the events fired each time you click on, oh, I want to change my settings, I want to join a multiplayer game, I want to invite my friend, I want to change my avatar. All these things go through our analytics network and into a data pipe and right into AWS. And all these things get their own, they become cleaned, organized. We do the job of cleaning, organizing, aggregating, making sure that they're comparable, because each single monetization network and each single ad network ends up with their own little ontology of how data should be sent to us. So we have to normalize, because this guy sends by day and this guy sends by week, and so on and so forth. And eventually we get to the part where you guys are in front because you're in the camera. And we get to our aggregate databases where we provide data for analysis. And that becomes some kind of dashboard, some kind of report. One of the things that we have to think about is what's the intelligence product that our user needs? Does that person need an interactive dashboard to look at the daily active users of their game? No, they don't. They need just a number, saying you had this many users last night. So that's the type of thing. That's the type of thing that we think about as well. How to best present the information to the decision maker. Sometimes it's even just an email report. That's all they need. And moving forward, lessons. I did promise some. And these are from a book that I will recommend very, very soon to you guys. As data scientists, you need to provide reliability. Your system should continue to, your systems, your analyses, your reports, your emails, your dashboards should continue to function correctly in the face of adversity. It can't just break and show zero. Your users must be able to trust what they're seeing always. Scalability, which was the first example of that, we just doubled our intake of data. The guys in the POs in the game says, oh, okay, instead of just tracking when the match starts and when the match ends, we want to track every single round. That's exactly what just happened, and when we got a 6 billion to 13 billion bump in our data set. So as it grows in volume, traffic, or complexity, there must be mechanisms so your systems can deal with that growth. And finally, and to me, one of the most important points is maintainability, which is as time goes by, different people are going to work on your system, on your report, on your analysis, on your machine learning. And all of them should be able to do it productively and without cursing the day you were born. What I say to my developers is, I can get from HR your address. I will know where you live. And that tends to scare them enough that they comment their code and they document their stuff and they make sure that the wiki is up to date and that they make sure that the project tracking, the Trello is up to date. And but it's highly, highly important. I judge a junior data scientist or software engineer from a senior data scientist or software engineer by their communication. And I mean communication in the sense that writing code is communicating. You're writing code for the next person who's going to read that code. That's those key points are at the very, very beginning of this very good book that I use as one of my references, and I am now making all my developers read, even though I think they're not really reading and just telling me that they're reading it. And one last lesson, which tends to be an unpopular one, but I feel very strongly that this is important to be mentioned, especially to you guys who will have newly acquired superpowers here. Don't be afraid not to use machine learning. Even though there are a number of very important problems that can be solved with machine learning, but there are a number of very important problems that can be solved by linear regression. If you have the shiniest, most cool new drill on the world, you want everything to be a screw. But sometimes things are just a nail and all they require is a hammer. The older mathematical and statistical techniques have been around for hundreds of years because they work. So don't be afraid to use the right tool for the right job. And I think that's it. I guess we have, I hope we have time for questions. I'm looking forward to hearing your questions and comments.
Yes, thank you, Daniel. You can't hear the applause we're all giving you, but just excellent stuff, really interesting. We are a little bit over time, but we started late and I'm sure you have plenty to do, but could we maybe borrow your time for the next 15 minutes to ask questions?
Of course, my pleasure.
Okay, awesome. I know participants may be dropping off to go do project work, but Monica, I'm sure you have some great questions that we have, and take it away.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chada. Great insight into the gaming business. We do have tons of questions here. So let's start with Salomon Muriel's question. Do you use data science to decide which games you're building next and where to launch them?
We don't, not to build games, but we do market analyses, benchmarking in terms of game mechanics. But no, we don't actually use data science, any sort of predictive analyses for what games we're going to launch. No.
Okay, perfect.
That might be fun though, but no. Good question.
Yeah, good question. So we also have Alejandro Gamboa's question. This is more about the business. Based on your experience, what is your advice for managers with a strong technical background such as yours with regarding to building high performance teams and leading them into modern entrepreneurial ecosystem?
Wonderful question. Thank you for that. Gold star. Um, Boy, that's a tough one. That's going to take all 15 minutes now. No, I guess what I look for in building a team, that's something that I've done throughout my career. Kind of my modus operandi in my career has been to go into a place where there's nothing and build something from scratch. Has been to look for passionate people, look for passionate and smart people. Doesn't matter. Not that it doesn't matter, but it matters less what experience they've had. It matters more how hungry they are. If they have that glimmer in their eye that they want to learn, that they thrive with a challenge, they will likely find a way and find their place in the team. I've had people who, almost everyone who starts working with me says, yeah, I really want to acquire more machine learning experience and do the best analyses and do the really high-tech, sexy stuff. And eventually they gain experience. And some of them, my head data engineer today started with me a few years back. I actually worked with him at Reserva, my previous company, and he came to Gazeus with me. When I first hired him, he said, no, I really want to learn more machine learning and I want to do analytic work and so on. And at some point during one of our feedbacks, he says, you know what? I think I'm happy being a data engineer. I like doing the server stuff. I like making sure that our data is scalable. I like making sure that our AWS is good. And that's okay. The guy is an amazing professional. He's my most senior guy and one of the people that I trust the most. But I hired him with like no knowledge. He was a developer, basically. He was a systems developer. So making an elite team is, you can't be in a rush. I usually take about 3 months to hire someone, and I prefer passionate people than knowledgeable people. If I can get both, it's better. You guys are probably all very passionate and now knowledgeable, but I will prize a person with a glimmer in their eye. That's just me.
Oh, that's great to hear. And well, this next question I actually posted myself, but I do want to know, and regarding what you just said, okay, so besides this gleaming in the eye and besides this huge, hunger for knowledge, and besides programming, which skills do you think are essential to actually make it into this industry?
Depends on where you want to go. Depends on whether you want to become a data scientist, whether you want to become a more data engineering focused person. It depends on your industry. The most important thing is, don't be afraid to not know something. I am eternally, one of my maxims that my developers, that my engineers and developers make fun of me for is, I am constantly willing to feel stupid and constantly willing to be dumb, to be wrong about things. So that attitude, that particular attitude is highly important, because just a few years ago, deep learning didn't exist yet. And we all had to learn it. We all had to sit down and study and understand what this is and how we can use it to leverage it. And in a few years from now, I don't know what I'm going to have to study. I'm getting better at reinforcement learning now, and my guys are getting better at reinforcement learning now. But in a few years, we may need to learn something completely different. So having the right attitude that you don't. It's okay not to know something, and it's okay to keep learning things. You'll be fine.
That's great. That is actually very inspirational. So we have another question from Julian Plazas, and he asked, what do you think about the close relationship many mobile games are having with gambling? For example, there are games that offer roulettes, lotteries, and that is very similar to gambling. Should these games be taxed as gambling, or should them even be forbidden to children?
I have no opinion. I haven't really thought about it enough to give you guys any insight on that. I think I do know that gambling shouldn't be allowed to children, but I don't know how that should or could be regulated.
Okay, great. So now we have David Hoyos questions. How do you handle user data acquisition, knowing that every country has their own data privacy laws and normativity? Do you make a data policy for every country or region, or a general one?
We start from the basics, and there's a underlying basic data privacy aspect to all of the policies that have been created so far, and starting from that basic, each one has its own peculiarities. We're doing the same with our systems. We're starting with the basic that we're going to have to do of what we feel is going to be important to do to protect people's privacy on almost any of these policies. And then for CCPA, we're doing one thing. For GDPR, we're doing one thing. For the Brazilian law, we're doing another thing, starting from this baseline.
Okay, perfect. Now we have Juan Pablo Reyes questions. Have you considered that games full of ads that interrupt the game could generate a negative reaction or feeling against the game or the ad? And how do you manage this?
I don't manage it. Our monetization team and our product team works together to manage this. So I have no control over it. I just gather the data for them and say, listen, this is working. This one you really screwed up. But yeah, we do keep our teams do keep that in mind very much, and it's kind of a balancing act. Because if we don't do any ads, we're basically just giving our game away for free, and we're no longer a company. We're an NGO, but we're just a bunch of really nice people who make games. But yeah, this balance between things is something that we take very seriously, and we prize our users' experience. We want people to enjoy our game and to be happy to be inside our game, not to be annoyed. That's one of the things that it starts with our CEO and percolates down to everybody in the company. Is we're here to make life a little bit more entertaining, and a little bit lighter for people. I truly enjoy, when I used to take the subway, I truly enjoyed, looking over my shoulder and seeing that there's two people playing the game that our company made, having fun on the subway. So that's something that we take very seriously.
Okay, so speaking about enjoying the game, we have Carlos Arturo Parra's questions. How do you get a trustful measure of users enjoying the game?
How do you get a what?
How do you get a trustful measure of users enjoying the game? He means that if you only, rate, get the rating, or do you take into account another variables like
of course.
time spent?
Those are we don't really have a true measure. We have indirect measures. The rating in the store tends to be a good measure, though sometimes we have often talked about people on several of our games who they write a text saying, this is awful, I hated the experience, your Domino's pieces are way too small, and then they say 5 stars. Or a person says, gives us 2 stars and says, this game is okay. So everything is kind of an indirect measure. But some of the things that we track are progress, session time, the recurrence of users. Our games have, like I said, we have very loyal user bases. So for most games, if a player doesn't show up for a week, the company will consider that player as having churned, as no longer being an active customer, not an active user. We have people who come in religiously every 15 days because they have their dominoes table with their friends, but one of the friends now lives in Europe, so they all get together to play every couple of weeks via our game. So all our measurements are indirect, but we take a number of different features and KPIs into account. One of session time, recurrence, the daily active users, the progression inside the game, how when we do a subscription campaign, how popular it is amongst our current players, that sort of thing.
Okay, perfect. So now we have a very bolded question from Diana Edi Guzman. What do you think about the boycott campaign, the Stop Hate for Profit of the big companies in Facebook ads? And has it some incident in the gaming industry now?
It has on all the advertising industry, all of the mobile industry, not just gaming. It has had an impact already. And again, I don't speak for all of Gazeus. I personally, as an individual, feel it's about time.
Oh, you just have another minute, don't worry. So, okay. So I think
Well, I meant it's about time that people
Oh, okay.
Started caring for their privacy.
Oh, I see. Okay, perfect. You are totally right. And well, our time is up now. So I want to thank you in name of all DS4A, the students and the staff. Thank you very much for this amazing, amazing talk. This was super insightful.
Oh, thank you. Thanks again for you guys for inviting me. It's always a pleasure. I had a lot of fun, and I hope to see you all soon.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Obrigado.
Oh, thank you, John.
Brazilian, Portuguese.
Great job.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone, for your great questions, too. Amazing questions by everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Daniel. We'll see you soon.